Good morning, everybody. It's Lynn at Cheese and Yogurt Making here, and we continue our journey of speaking with cheesemakers from around England, from various counties. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Alison from Teesdale Cheesemakers in County Durham. Good morning, Alison.
Good morning, Lynn.
How are you today?
Well, the sun's shining, so I'm all right. Well, the sun's shining makes life a lot easier around the farm, that's for sure.
I bet it does, of course. Well, I know that the farm there goes back many generations, 4 generations, so you know where your milk comes from, which is brilliant. So do you want to just tell us a little bit of history about the farm and how it goes back and where you feature in all of it?
Okay, so the family farm, the dairy farm, is 6 miles away. We're on a 20-acre small holding, but our milk does come from the family farm. They are largely tenant farming, although they do own some of their own land now, and it's going into the 5th generation now. Charlie just crashed a tractor, so I think the next generation have arrived. There's 300 cows now, really grown significantly. Super proud of Grandad, because in the Foot and Mouth in 2020, I want to say 2002, was it now? Is it really that long ago? Our farm was the only farm that didn't get foot and mouth, because he was putting carpets down, and he was like the typical angry farmer, massively passionate about saving his herd, and he did. So we've got a cheese called Ronnie, named after Grandad, and we've got a cheese called Doris, named after Grandma, because it was her chicken money that bought the first quality cows for Grandad and great granddad way back. And we actually think the quality of the milk is why we win so many awards for our cheeses. And it's part of her legacy, from that very first chicken money invested in quality beast, to Grandad saving the herd back in the early 2000s. So we very much wanted to have them as part of us going forward with cheeses.
That's a brilliant story. What a good backstory, going back all those generations. And I love the name you've honoured your cheeses. That's absolutely lovely. So when did you first start making cheese there? When did it first? Is that you that makes it? Was it yourself or someone else in the family that first started making the cheeses?
No, it was friends of the family started making the cheese, actually. They'd retired, and they were taking the milk in small quantities. And then they had a grandchild, and they didn't want to do this. It was essentially a hobby for them, just an interest. So we bought the recipe for 2 cheeses and the equipment back in 2016, and started in our utility room of a house we were renting at the time. We weren't really sure where it was going, what we could do with it, but we thought, well, let's try. And then in 2019 we bought the small holding. We built a purpose-built dairy and moved the production here, and I have to say that it was joyful. Instead of having to carry trays and trays of cheese from the utility room through the kitchen, across the yard, through the garage, into the cold room, I now just wheel them from the dairy straight into the cold room. It just feels gloriously easy in comparison. And also I couldn't spill anything in the utility room because it was next to the kitchen, and so if I spilled anything it would end up just whereas now we've got drains and I can just hose down everything. It really is wonderful. I have been making all the cheese. We've got a cheesemaker, assistant cheesemaker, started with us last year, and she's been going along with us. I think you need a year or 2 before you really are comfortable. She's getting there, and I think possibly later on this year she may take over the managing of the dairy, so I can take a step back and develop the business. So that's really quite exciting for me, going from being largely in the dairy to getting out, and now that COVID's lifted, getting out and meeting people as well, which is really nice, and telling people that we're here and what we're doing.
That's brilliant. So I know you do 8 soft cheeses, including the dessert cheese. So do you tell us a little bit about the flavours and making up these cheeses and how you've decided that these are the ones you're selling at the moment, and then a little bit of history there.
Okay, so we started, our first cheeses was Teesdale Blue and White Hilton, and that was Teesdale Blue because this is where we are, and White Hilton was the village where the farm is, so it kind of made sense. The next that came along was a goat cheese because we were going to markets and people kept asking, and then my best friend was lactose intolerant, and then we had another friend who couldn't eat cheese because of their cholesterol, but they could eat goat cheese, and we thought, you know, whilst it's a little bit not of cow's milk, I think there is a need for us to do something. So we brought out a goat's cheese, which won gold at the World Cheese Awards. We were making our utility. We're absolutely astounded by this and thought, okay, we can do this. And I think that was a turning point for me, Lynn, as a cheesemaker, because previous to that, I was using 2 recipes that I'd bought and from Esme and Brian, who'd set the business up. And that was the first one that I'd developed and created by myself. And that was when I thought, do you know, maybe I am a cheesemaker, not just someone who follows a recipe. And then the next one was Doris, that I've already alluded to. And sorry, the next one was Barney Brie. We made Barney Brie first. I love Brie cheese, but I thought the English Bries, some of them were a little bland, and I wanted to have something with a bit more taste. So we brought out Barney Brie, which was because we were living near Barnard Castle. So they're all related to either family, the names, or the area that they're made. Then Doris, and then we then created our cheese baby, we call it, called Alison's garlic cheese. I'm Maltese, and in Malta, a long time ago, farmers used to make a very fresh cheese from any milk left over they didn't require and take it to the market that weekend. They don't do that now. They sell it all on gozo to the main cheesemaker there. So I decided to create, using the Maltese recipe and the milk from Jonathan's family's farm, pull them together. So it's my heritage in terms of the recipe, and it's his heritage in terms of the milk. So garlic cheese is kind of like our little baby cheese, if you like.
Oh, that's a lovely story. And talking of awards, congratulations. Am I right in thinking you've just won a Northeast Micro Small Business Award? So many congratulations.
Thank you. That was a surprise. It really was a surprise, a lovely surprise. But yes, that was just a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Oh, well, congratulations. That's brilliant. That's just goes to show that you're going in the right direction. You're doing something right. And I know it's not always easy. You're probably up against a lot of competition. So well done. That's brilliant. And going back to where you're based now, and I know you've got the cafe and everything, and I understand that people can actually have a peep and see where the cheese is made as well while they're there. Is that right?
Yes, yeah. Well, because we create a lot of whey, we also have pigs. So we feed the whey from the byproduct of cheese making. Pigs love it; they thrive on it. But it's not a byproduct you can flush into the system. So you have to find a way of sorting that problem out. So having the pigs is great. So they can visit pigs. We've got a goat, so they can go and feed Wallace. He's a cutie. Some people think that we milk him to make the cheese. We don't. One, he's a boy, but secondly, you need a lot more than one goat to get the milk for the cheese. I think and that gives us an opportunity to educate people and say, oh, actually, you need X amount of milk to make 1 kilo of cheese. It really surprises people. But yes, there's a view window where the pigs are that you can see into the dairy, and when we're making, you can actually watch the process happening. But even on non-make days, you can actually see into the dairy. You can see the molds and the vat there. And we've got our chickens. Unfortunately, they're still locked in, as you're aware, Lynn, because of for their own safety. So poor things haven't been out for months now. But they're normally out, and people can feed them and see them. And we've got various different varieties. So it's all about helping people to understand what farming and rural life really is, as well as the cheese making.
That's a nice combination. So you've got people in terms of buying the cheeses then. I know you've got retail outlets, restaurants, take the cheeses, and obviously, and can you buy online as well? How can we get the cheeses?
Yeah, so during COVID, of course, like all cheesemakers, all routes to market stopped. All the restaurants, hotels, all the festivals, food, all the places that cheesemakers generally put them. So we set up an online shop, so you can buy it from there. You can come and buy it over here. There's a handful now of restaurants and small shops locally to us who stock it. After COVID, or during COVID, when everything stopped, we had a rethink about, like many businesses, I think, what are we doing? It gave you an opportunity. It was a hiatus to really think about what was important. And for us, what was important was educating people and helping people understand the process of making cheese and everything that's involved around it, and just to encourage them to support British cheeses, particularly with Brexit and you know, imports are much more difficult to get now. I just read recently that was the case. So it made sense to encourage people to come here or buy online and taste some British cheeses. And there's loads of cheesemakers in the UK. We are awash with fantastic local cheesemakers and local produce. So so online, and largely online or here, is where you can get them.
Okay, that's good. So just going forward to the future, and I know you've got an exciting, I'm really keen to ask you about your glamping, which I know going forward, that's something that you've just started doing. Is it quite recently? Is that new for this year, isn't it, I think?
It's very recent. We've just opened them. We've only had 3 guests in so far. We've got some in at the moment, and they all love it, which is great. And it's all part of our eat, make, stay offer, really, so that people can come and just have a cheese platter or buy cheese to take home, or they can come and help make it with me. There's a day's experience, or they can have a tour, or Jonathan can guide them and do a cheese tasting guide, or they can come and stay, have a bottle of wine and a cheese platter, and meander up to what are stunning views. They overlook the valley, and they just look amazing. And they're off grid, but they are en suite. So, and there's a little kitchen, so you can it's just a beautiful rural hideaway, really.
That sounds amazing. I think I'm just going to book and come and say it sounds wine, cheese, sunshine, and a view. I mean, what's not to love?
Exactly.
Yeah. Tell me a bit more about it. Is it add to that if you want to a little bit?
I was just going to say that even in the rain, which we get a lot in Teesdale, a lot of rain, good grass, good milk, good cheese. So we can't complain. But even in the rain, because there's a veranda there, you're protected, and you know there's that pitter patter on the roof that just makes it feel super cozy. So we spent 2 days up there in January. To try out the facilities, as you have to, you know, it's hard work, but someone's got to do it. And it was hand on heart, just stunning. Just so I just switched off completely, which is difficult for me to do.
I expect it is, and that's what people want. You know, it's such a nice combination. I like, you know, your eat, stay, have everything there under one roof, and a break away from it all, and just to touch base with nature. It really does sound like, I think I've got everything crossed for you, that you know, as you say, you've got to keep trying something new and keep doing something different. So I think it's all action stations, and it's all good for the future for you. So fingers crossed. I'll be interested to hear how that goes. I'll be keeping in touch with you guys. So good luck with that. We'll speak again soon, Alison, but thank you so much for taking the time out to chat today. It's been a real pleasure to finally catch up with you. So
thank you so much for having me. It's been my pleasure, honestly. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Thank you. Thanks.